something to take some notes on. And this might be the video you come back to the most every time you watch the replays, because the next 5 hours right now with Merrill Chandler is going to be condensed into the next hour, hour and a half, maybe. And this guy, first of all, I've known him for about 10 years now. I think it's going back about 10 years. We used to be road warriors. We'd see each other more on the road. We'd see each other more often than our families a lot of times in some cases. But this guy has a huge heart, a huge passion. His whole team out of Utah just does an amazing job in working with our clients and working with so many real estate investors and entrepreneurs across the country to demystify the chaos, the foggy glasses when it comes to your credit, FICO, and the ability to lend and how to lend and what to do that works in your favor and things that you're doing that work against your favor in a lot of cases. So one of there's 2 classes that we require people to take that we tell them that, hey, these are must attend. And you're going to want to attend this next hour and a half with Merrill, and you're going to want to soak in everything he shares with you. And I guarantee if you've seen him once before, you're like, thank God I get to see Merrill again, because it's always changing. Him and his team are always learning from what's going on in the market. They're reaching out to different credit companies and FICOs. It's just one of the most valuable sessions we have, and we're glad to have you back on here because I know you've had some updates since we had you on first of the year for sure. And Merrill, we're live streaming the class on YouTube as well, because we're celebrating hitting 7,000 subscribers. So we're live streaming this to our YouTube network as well out there. So we got folks online watching that, and we'll watch the replay of that, and we're leaving these up for a little bit. But Mr. Merrill Chandler, we're honored to have the Neo, the Morpheus of it when it comes to the credit matrix, join us here on the virtual note buying workshop. You're muted still, buddy. You're still muted. You muted yourself to cough, and then there you go.
So thank you so much for the introduction and the opportunity to take a group of note buyers, people who are learning the simplicity and elegance of note buying, especially since we're heading in note buying season again, right? So it comes in waves, and we're excited about this one. So what we're talking about today is, you got the money to take down the properties necessary to create. He's saying, bring money to the table, right? Can you write a check and do a deal? Especially the property you just listed, you were saying make an offer for $22,000 or something like that. And do you have the credit instrument right now to be able to write a check, do a deal? And what we have found, well, I've been doing this for a very long time, and Scott and I have collaborated on a number of projects. And what we find is that if there's no closing involved, if you're taking in cash, you're that CIA operative with a actually briefcase of cash, you can actually buy for less than a cashier's check or something else. If the easier it is and the more impressive it is for the buyer, for the seller, they're like, oh, honey, let's just take it. You just dropped it to 19 instead of 22 or whatever it was. I'm telling you, I'm here to show you how to make that super, super simple, elegant, and effortless. So let's share my screen. Let's go here.
And I'm gonna quiet my video camera so you get the full screen, but I'll be here commenting like I always do.
Excellent.
Questions online.
Number one, we're going to share. Everybody can see that, right? And now we're going to go to the topic of today. We want to know, you guys, how to recession-proof your personal and business credit without giving away your profits to hard money. How many of you have seen? Let's test. I want everybody to say yes in the chat, because you're going to be saying yes or no a lot. So everybody say yes in the chat, please. Just if you're doing the dishes, go with follow Scott's example. Let's go. Yes, there we got Peter. It's Peter. All right, it's the 3 of us then. Let's I'll talk to you, Peter, and then let's go to I can see somebody literally scrambling across the room, diving at their laptop to be able to type in yes. We also raise your hand. Peter's raising his hand. What about we got Don, Hakeem, Kenneth? Let me see hands, guys. I want us to be able to focus my comments on what is applicable to you, so we can save your guys's credit during this recession. All right. Let's continue then. One of the big occurrences in 2008 when the credit crunch came there was that people were losing their credit limits. Loans were being called due and people were losing their credit limits. Let's say you had a $20,000 credit limit, you had a $15,000 balance, but they took $10,000 away from you, leaving you over limit by $5,000. And the lenders have no problem of doing that. So we're going to talk about how to stop that from happening for you. To set that up, we'll get to that in a second. To set that up, we need to understand that there are two unstoppable forces in this tightening economy, right? The first one is economic. Now, lenders make money when they lend. There's two ways that they make money: when they lend and when they swipe. If nobody's swiping, they rely on interest. And if people go into default, there's no swiping and there's no interest. There, Kenneth made it to his computer. So thank you for joining us, Kenneth, and giving me a yes there. All right. So they make money then when they lend. But the question is, why aren't you getting approved for unsecured bank loans and lines of credit? Now, that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about getting a Uline account or a Granger account or raising your Paydex score, a score that it's a mystery whether or not even the big banks use the Paydex score or use Dun & Bradstreet to establish. Most of them use Experian as the main review of your business credit history. But so many people are sold, hey, build your business credit, raise your Paydex score, without even knowing that the Paydex score is somewhat irrelevant to business bank lending. So what I'm talking about are the top 40 banks in this country, not community banks, not credit unions, the top 40 banks who they're tier 1 and tier 2. Those top 40 banks are want to lend money to the right borrower. But so why aren't you getting it? Because you've been lied to. And we're going to be taking a deep dive into these lies shortly. But let's keep exploring the unstoppable forces we must learn to leverage. Think of it as a tsunami wave. Are you going to be crushed by it, or are you going to ride it? Hold on to that surfboard for dear life, right? Well, the reason why you've been lied to about how to get approved is because you've been taken advantage of by a system that is siloed, meaning FICO keeps its scoring mechanism private, and credit bureaus keep their data and their information private. Lenders keep their information, their underwriting criteria private, and ne'er the three meet, right? And so since we don't know what everybody's looking for, there are two ways that you can participate in this funding economy, the funding matrix, right? You can either be prey to a lender or a partner to the lender. Now, it means the difference between a $5,000 to $20,000 credit card at 20 to 26% interest, or a $50,000 to $100,000 loan or line of credit at prime plus 0.75 to 1% interest. The difference is having the education to know how to become a partner, right? So how do you know which one you are? If you've got credit cards that are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 at 20, 26% interest, you have been preyed upon because you don't know yet, until today, you don't know yet what you need to know in order to become their partner. So how does it work? Well, when you exhibit borrower behaviors that make you trustworthy to lenders, right? When these borrower behaviors are within a very tight pattern or scope, these borrower behaviors show that you know how to use their money, and they will give you more, right? If your approvals are lower and your interest is 4 to 5 times higher than prime, that's why there's animosity between borrowers and lenders, because we feel like we're getting taken advantage of, right? But here's what's interesting. When you don't meet the best approval guidelines, your approvals are way out on the rim of the funding target. Interestingly enough, that in a stressed economy, they shrink that approval target. They shrink it. And so you're the very first, if you're on the outside, you're the very first to stop getting approved, or you'll end up getting your limits lowered or accounts closed. Now, what's interesting is that what worked in prosperous times, those outer limit predatory approvals, what worked in prosperous times are not going to work now. They haven't worked for since last summer. So what do you have to do to become a partner to the lenders? You got to get fundable. Fundability means the ability to be funded, meaning you meet all of the lender criteria for them to give you their money. Now, our goal then is when you learn to be fundable, you go from this to this. Now notice, going back, outer approvals, this is highly trustworthy. You're so close to their the underwriting criteria that you become fundable. This is fundability. It makes you are the perfect borrower, the ideal customer for lenders. Now, how many of you would like the funding results that come with being the perfect customer, right? How many of you would like to experience what it means to be fundable? That is what we're talking about today. All right. And the result is that these best approvals happen in any economy. When the target shrinks, the bullseye, those inner ring approvals continue to be approved. We've had, so when you get the education on how to meet these lender guidelines, they will lend to you because they're going to lend only to someone they trust. And the way they trust you is because you hit their funding guidelines. Now, this money spigot is sitting right in front of you. Nothing has changed. In fact, you guys, we've had over 250 million in these bank approvals, 250 million in just the last few years alone, right? During COVID, we had 60 million of that happened during COVID. So they will lend, they make money when they lend, they will lend to you if you meet those very tight, what we call bullseye funding guidelines. All right. So now the second unstoppable force is technology. Now, how many of you hate, I really want answers on this one. How many of you hate full doc loans? How many of you would prefer anybody hate full doc loans? Can I get hands? Can I get a yes? Yes. So Scott and I, we don't want full doc loans, right? So the whole idea is what's called automatic underwriting. Lenders, all lenders, every lender is moving to automatic underwriting. So what is that, you ask? Well, raise your hand as if in the last few years you filed an application online or in person and were approved or denied in 30 seconds. Anybody? Anybody? I hate them. Too many guidelines. Exactly, Peter. So have you been approved in 30 seconds? Anybody? Anybody? So exactly. Thank you. So no human being looked at your application. Thanks. Thanks, Matrice. Nobody has looked at those applications. It's all done by metrics and measuring your borrower behaviors, right? So raise your hand if in the last few years you've received a letter or an email notifying you that the lender literally just gave you a limit increase. Anybody? Matrice, did that happen? Peter, Kenneth? No income verification, no inquiry, no request for financials, no request for income tax returns. Are you hearing me? All the full doc stuff nobody asked for. They gave you free money. Now, exactly what I said on the first slide may have sounded too good to be true, but how many of you would like to receive that very notice on business credit cards and business lines of credit, raising your limits to $100,000? Anybody? How would you like to have that exact, thank you, Peter, that exact experience, but on business lines of credit? That is what we're talking about. That's where this technology, this juggernaut of technology of automatic underwriting, lenders hate full doc more than you do. They're moving more and more to this experience, right? So we discovered the key that would unlock the secret to business funding and get these automatic approvals and get the automatic limit increases. How? Well, first of all, because of my unique circumstances, I was invited to FICO World. Okay, think of FICO World as the Mount Olympus of the credit and funding approval gods. I met with the CEO of FICO, Will Lansing, and after a powerful conversation about how we help borrowers become fundable, he invited me to meet with his FICO team that builds the software that builds your score and evaluates your opportunity for funding. Now, those meetings gave me, and now you, access to lender underwriting approval criteria. Think of it, inside information about, because guess what lenders want, guys? Fundable borrowers. They don't want to mess around with a full doc. They want to scan your borrower profile, and from that borrower profile, approve you. That is lender partner opportunity, not prey. Right? So I'm going to, by the way, I'm going to expose one of the biggest lies about credit scores in this conversation in just a minute. But we met with the actual teams to build these, to build this fundability software and scoring process. Right? Now, interestingly enough, coming back from that that opportunity, I was able to build a step-by-step process to fit those exact lender guidelines. Literally a map to an approval. Follow these simple and easy steps and you get approved. And voila, the process works for anybody, real estate investors, business entrepreneurs, anybody who implements it, it works. Why? Because it's just math, you guys. It's just math. And if you hit the right math, it literally delivers an approval. Tell me you guys are getting this. Tell me you guys, raise your hand, say yes. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? Does this make sense? Thank you, Loria. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you, Peter. Yes, it's crazy that it's just math. And if we know the math, we get approved. It really is just that simple. Now, coming back from that experience, my team and I devoted our entire business lives to creating this blueprint so that you and our tribe could learn how to become highly fundable and get the incredible approvals and rates, right? Prime plus a 0.75%, 75 basis points, prime plus 1%. This is crazy talk. And you wouldn't have to go through all the pains of denials and all the BS. But I'm kind of my own crash test dummy, you guys. You know, those mannequins that they put all those pressure points on to see when they run into the wall where you hit. Well, that's been me with the lenders and funding for the last 30 years, right? So one of my biggest client wins was our client Teresa. She went out and was able to prove this model perfectly. So I'd love to have you listen in her own words what happened.
I did what you said to do, just a couple of things, and my score went up 30 points right away. And so within 6 months, my score went up over 100, and I was already in the 700. So my score is nearly perfect now. And they all line up, and I was able to achieve, a $500,000 unsecured line of credit my first time out of the gate with my first bank. So that really put me in a position to change the game that I'm executing to change my retirement strategy. And in fact, I actually used the line of credit recently for the first time, so it put me into $1 million asset that I would not have been able to secure. And in fact, the bank
Listen carefully.
was putting all the documentation together, and they called me and said, okay, we're done. And I said, don't you want the paperwork? And they said, no, your credit score is fine. In fact, it's unusually fine. So we're just going to give it to you. We don't need any more paper, and it'll be an unsecured line of credit. So $500,000 later.
Okay, you guys, the key is that she's a note buyer, and that $1 million asset is what she used her credit line for. And interestingly enough, she didn't have to submit for 500 grand unsecured. She did not have to submit full docs because her credit profile was unusually fine. Now, I need to update this slide because we're at 250 million in approvals. But just like Teresa, you could have these exact same results because Teresa didn't do anything special. She simply followed the process, right? But this process didn't come easily, right? And the good news is because you're here today, you get to do it the easy way. And because I'm going to compress time for you, I'll take all these years, trial and error, all the craziness of my experience and share with you only what actually works. Now, the first thing you have to do is to stop stepping on the funding landmines. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you the biggest, most damaging credit and funding landmines almost all real estate investors make. Let's dive in to what three secrets are to make you to be able to leverage, take advantage, surf the wave of these unstoppable forces. Fair enough? So what we're going to do is secret number one. There are fake credit scores. Now, we call them credit score posers or imposters because these fake scores are not used by lenders. So what do I mean by this? Well, the gold standard, FICO, over 90% of every lending decision, personal or business in this country uses the FICO model. Okay. But what's a Fako score? Well, here's my definition of a Fako score. So any credit score that is not used by lenders in the credit approval process is a fake score, a Fako score. So so here's a question for you. Which fake score is currently deceiving over 100 million borrowers in the United States? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand here, okay? But Credit Karma is actually publishing. There are 100 million users of Credit Karma, and they do not provide you that score that you see. There's only 2 out of the 3 credit bureaus. Why? Experian uses true FICO scores. So they can't even participate because Credit Karma uses what's called Vantage scores. Now, Vantage scores are not used by lenders to determine your fundability. In fact, what the most horrible bait and switch in current modern financial history is this. You look at your scores on Credit Karma. Then you go to the little offer to the right and you click on the offer. And if you fill out that application and hit submit, guess what? They pull a FICO score to approve or deny your application, not the scores sitting on the front page of Credit Karma. You guys, it's the worst bait and switch ever. And so what's interesting is there have been several studies that take Credit Karma scores and the same users and look at their FICO scores, and Credit Karma scores are 30 to 60% higher on average than the FICO scores. So let's say you got a 760 here on Credit Karma, but you only have a 700. You have a 720 on Credit Karma, but FICO, when they pull your credit, you have a 660. And you get crushed, and then you get denied, and you don't know why. This is so common. It's unbelievable how much I run into this. But Credit Karma is not the only one. There are many others who are using the lack of borrower education to take advantage of you. Where can you wake up from this financial matrix and learn the truth? Scott used the term that I am a credit Morpheus. If you're familiar with the movies, The Matrix, my job is to awaken you from the sleep you're inside of the financial matrix, where you believe one thing is true and it's not, right? There's only, where can you wake up and find the truth? The only legitimate source for all credit scores that your lenders use come from myfico.com. I want you to go take a screenshot, write it down, myfico.com. If you're using, now notice there's no links. I'm not getting paid for this. If you want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about what lenders think of you, your mortgage scores are there. You can find your mortgage scores and no inquiry. You can find your auto scores, no inquiry. You can find your credit card and unsecured scores, no inquiry is used. Myfico.com, you guys, myfico.com. But this leads us to insider secret number 2. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you've also been lied to, because it's not about your credit score. It's all about your fundability. Your approvals do not happen because of your credit score. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. So Robert came to me and he was so discouraged because these were his credit scores and he couldn't get approved. He had been denied multiple times for a business line of credit. No lender would touch him. He didn't know why. Here, when we found out, when we got under the hood of his profile, all he had was a $5,000 credit card from a credit union and 3 retail cards, low value retail cards. Now, you can tell that he's a real estate investor, right? But interestingly enough, is that a high credit score means nothing more than you get more of what you got. He had low value credit cards, so he could go into any mall, he could go to any online, he could go to any finance company and get the best rate and term. But he will never, ever, 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 ever in the history or future of this universe will Chase give him $50,000 on his Home Depot reputation. It's not going to happen, you guys. It's never happened. And if you have a low value profile and you're trying to get high value credit products, it's never going to happen. Credit scores alone are meaningless. Regardless of his high scores, he wasn't fundable, right? Tell me, type yes if you're getting this, you guys. Tell me, raise your hand, type yes that you're getting this. Is this crazy? I'm revealing things that are not available anywhere out there except for in Scott Carson's training, right? So let's keep going then. You are your credit score is used after you're approved to determine your interest rate and approval amount. What does that mean? All right, so here's what I want you to do. Scott told you to have a piece of paper. So what I want you to do is take a piece of paper and about 2/3 down, I want you to draw a line and label that line 719 denial threshold. What do I mean by that? A denial threshold simply means that it's if you're lower than the denial threshold, you're rejected. You're denied. That's part of that 30 seconds. You're denied if you're below the denial threshold. In this case, every bank, by the way, every bank is not 719. I'm just using that as an example. So at that denial threshold, if you have a 719, a 716, a 715, you get denied. If you have a 720, you're not approved. FICO stops being important. Your FICO score stops being important, and they pivot to lender underwriting guidelines. There are borrower behaviors that are being evaluated from your credit profile, your banking profile, your identity profile, your financial profile, and your credit profile are all being evaluated, not your FICO score. FICO got you in the game or thrown out of the game. It has nothing to do with your approvals, guys. Please hear what I'm saying. Your score, this is some of the work. Everything is mindset, right? Well, some of the worst mindset you have to recalibrate on is the belief that your high credit score is anything meaningful to get approved. It gets you in the game. So they evaluate the borrower behaviors. We'll come to those we'll be talking about those in a moment. Before we get to that, you got to understand that they approve or deny you based on lender software, not on FICO software. Tell me you guys understand this. Raise your hand. Tell me yes. Are you getting this? Because if you don't get this, you are missing out on what it means to become fundable and therefore lose your opportunities at easy financing. Okay? All right. Then, now that line is your denial threshold. Here's what happens. Everything above that line is being evaluated by lender software. Now, let's say they review all your borrower behaviors and it's thumbs up. You get approved based on lender software, not FICO. Then, if you have a 721 barely above that line, 721, they'll give you $3,000, $5,000. If you have an 821, they'll give you 30 or 50 grand. FICO score kicks back in after you're approved and tells them how much money to give you, because that's the risk assessment. Do I risk money with you? They're approved. How much do I give you? So that is the only time when a high credit score matters to you, is after you're approved, how much money are they going to give you? Tell me, you guys understand this? Are we asleep at the wheel? You guys understand what I'm talking about? Because this is game-changing intel. All right? Very good. All right. So your fundability is what gets you the approval. Lender software, and over 90% of all business and personal credit approvals rely on the data from FICO. All right. Now, why does any of this matter to you? Why does it matter that I have a seat at the FICO table and the lender underwriting table? Well, because it means that I get to bring everything I learn about you getting approved back to you. So if you're a member of my tribe, one of the students, you get updates on my relationships with FICO. I read the facts. I'm going in May, I'm headed back to my FICO world in order to get the most recent updates. I have 2 FICO liaisons that I meet once per month with, right? So if approvals are all about your fundability, then what is your fundability based on? That takes us to our third insider secret, right? The right borrower behaviors are what get you approved. So remember from earlier, these are the pre-approvals, right? Not knowing the right borrower behaviors gets you high interest and low amounts. High interest, low amounts. Not knowing the right borrower behaviors gets you no approvals and lowered limits or closed accounts during financially stressful times. But when you want to get partner level approvals, knowing the right borrower behaviors gets you low interest rates and high amounts like this. Those borrower behaviors dialed in, then knowing the right behaviors gets you approved in any economy, and you're able to continue to grow your business and take advantage of this tsunami of foreclosures that are going to be coming over the next 12 to 24 months. You guys, you don't want to go find your money when the deals are in front of you. You want to find the money before the deals get to you, so that you can be on the cutting edge of doing of getting the properties and the notes that you're looking for, right? So, as I promised, how do you hit that funding bullseye? What borrower behaviors make you fundable? Well, let's take a look. I have dozens and dozens of stories that talk about people. How many of you have sighted in a rifle? Anybody sight in a rifle? The rifle, you don't move the target to sight in the rifle, right? You don't move the target, and you don't move the sandbags and the barrel. You move the switches and the little tiny gears and those little screws to move your sights. That's how you sight in a gun. Same thing here. How do you hit the bullseye for a lender's approval by citing in your borrower behaviors. So there are 40 plus borrower behaviors that are used by FICO and lenders. Only 10 measure derogatory information. So that means there are 30 ways to increase your fundability, your credit score, and even your approvals, even if you have derogatory listings. Now, the key is not just knowing what the borrower behaviors are, but what to do about them. And you don't have to take, guys, you don't have to take screenshots of this. I'm going to give all of this to you. Like how many accounts with balances is too many, right? And how much is too much when it comes to balances? And how many accounts is ideal for fundability? So I would love to be able to give you everything that you need. Please write down right now, take a screenshot of this or write it down. Get fundable behaviors, plural, behaviors.com. In this document, just follow it. Tell me where to send the, to email you the download. Because this not only includes the 40 borrower behaviors that FICO uses, but it includes the 150 borrower behaviors that FICO and lenders draw from when they build their underwriting software. There's a pool of 150, and they test all of them and make about 40 as their go-to in their lender software. So that is how you become fundable, you guys. That is how this makes how you can literally create the results that you're looking for to grow your business the way you want to. All right. You guys are big typers. So type if you've learned something new tonight. Just say yes. Type yes, raise your hand. Have you learned something new? Don, Hakeem, Kenneth, Lorelia, Matrice, Peter, Stephen, you guys learning something new tonight? Well, what I have for you is I have a business funding master course, and this business funding master course is designed. In fact, let me get to it right now so I can find exactly what you're looking for there, good sir. I have I have a special arrangement to give. There we are. All right. So this business funding master course, there we go. This business funding master course, if you bought it from my entire from the website, but value by value, its value is $21,943. Interesting that normally, and you'll see this in a moment, normally this goes for $997 on our website, what the page I'm going to send you to, right? But because you're investing in you, because you're part of Scott's group, this is one of the courses that he says that he recommends to everybody because it's a game changer on how you do your entire funding opportunities, right? So because of him, it's 50% off, and the special price is $498.50. That's 50% off the $497. Now, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, which says that if you go through this course step by step and you are not wowed, not, hey, that was cool, but if you are not wowed, like crazy off the chain wow, then I give you your money back, okay? Now, is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? Absolutely. And so if it did only half of what we talked about today to get you dialed in, here's what's interesting. I put everything in this course and I'm feeling awesome about it, right? And I go to my team. All right, guys, poke holes in this. Is there anywhere you see where somebody could fail? And the one thing that kept coming up was, hey, what about support? How do we support them? And even with all the killer tutorials and all the videos, being able to ask questions live is priceless. So there's no way I'm going to leave you alone to do it on your own without support. So you also get special member access only. Now, what this is the opportunity for you to attend Tuesday and Thursday live sessions with me. It's the only place you can get this part of the business funding master course. And that normally the value is $1,743 and $149 a month, right? $149 a month, but you only get it for $29.99 a month. Now, Funding Hackers Q&A is where I answer your questions about your specific situation, where we problem solve and workshop your situation. Now, I'm one of the lucky ones. I get charged $5,000 for one of my consultations. So to have 2 hours of Q&A with me per week for only $29.99 is one of the greatest gifts that I can give you, and probably the highest way in which I can serve you. So you get all of the business funding system, the advanced entity secrets, personal fundability fitness program, advanced financing secrets, business fundability accelerator, which is the step-by-step do everything in order to optimize your personal and your business, and the financial survival bundle. That's where the 2366 come from. Go to Get Fundable Get Fundable. Hang on. Where do we go? Oh, there we go. Get Fundable. And you're going to go to the promo code and put in note 54. And in the note 54, you hit the apply button and it will give you your 50% off. Now, for best results, use an incognito window or a brand new window, etc. And hit your complete button, and that is everything that you need for to make sure that this is everything that you need to create the best results possible for your funding. So Get Fundable WCN, we close notes.com, promo code note 54. I'm here to answer questions. We got any questions, anything coming up, Scott, for us to be able, website again, please. It's getfundablewcn.com. What you see on there, we can put that on there.
Yeah, I'll type it in there right now.
He's typing it in there right now. So when you, whoa, yes. Oh, it just took me there when I just clicked on the screen.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. I got to find my screen again. There we go. Where'd it go?
You know, while you're pulling up, I tell you that several of the things that we have implemented have had immediate impact in our fundability side. Lines of credit being instantly approved, credit card limits going up without having to go in, without having to call. You know, when we refinanced a couple years ago, we took what you taught us and was able to get even lower rates. Same thing on card notes. I mean, that's helped tremendously.
Right.
One of the things too that a lot of people always ask me is the fact that, hey, what should I name my LLC? And I'm like, you can't put notes, banking, funding, finance, lending, investments, any of that
Properties.
stuff. Properties, real estate in your LLC, because it will eliminate you from long-term financing. So management, and then you know, there's so much stuff that you cover in your business funding master course.
And we literally have an hour, right, you guys,
Yeah.
to be able to do a Q&A. But this is over 15 hours of the intent. How many felt like I was you're drinking out of a fire hose? Anybody?
Yeah.
Imagine 15 hours of content. People keep going back and back and back. You get to watch this master course, and this is lifelong. Even if you stop, you can cancel anytime the $29.99 a month. If you don't want any more support, but you have access to this course forever. So, and you can re-engage the $29.99 a month anytime you wish. So, because that's our tribe, that brings everybody together. And we literally Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Mountain. So that's Central is 5 and 3 p.m. East Western time, Pacific time. Anybody, we workshop solutions that everybody gets to level up their knowledge, right? The tide raises all ships. So every question we ask, And if there's private things you want to keep to yourself, you literally type certain details to me in private chat, and then I answer the question without revealing any privacy things that you want regarding your business or your revenues or whatever. Right? We've got this thing dialed. We've been doing this for years, 6 years now. We've been doing the fundability hackers. And it is the greatest way for me to serve you. No joke.
Yeah, you definitely, that's true. The serve side, those community things, I like diving into those because I'm always learning, always getting great strategies and stuff like that. Yeah,
I'd love to have you.
Yeah. Glad to share there for you guys. Guys, take advantage of this. This is an amazing deal. Note 54, well worth it. Thank you for being here, Merrill. Yep, Peter, you're definitely you guys. Peter, Hakeem. Hakeem was asking me about this a little while ago. Who else is on here? Those that are watching on YouTube, let me see here if you got any questions on the YouTube live stream as well. We had some folks that were saying yes on there earlier as we were going through this, which is always great stuff there for you. Pull it up here. I just had it and closed it down by mistake. All right. Yes, Bubala, did you have a question on there? Somebody saying yes on there, but great stuff as always. Merrill delivers. You've got your best-selling book out. You've got the podcast that you're doing amazing stuff with, Merrill. Just absolutely sharing amazing value there for you. So
absolutely. Thank you guys. And if you would want to tool around, getfundable.com is kind of our online brochure, but getfundablewcn.com, that's where you're going to learn about what you get. I mean, it's so detailed. It's got to be 4 feet long online, right? It's just all the details of what you get inside of that course. Do not hesitate. And remember, you need the money before you have the deal. This does, depending on how fundable you are right now, this could be quickly as 90 days, right? It could take you 2 years if you just came out of a bankruptcy. I don't know what you're bringing to the party, but I promise you that I will teach you how to climb out of a bankruptcy intelligently and rebuild a credit profile that's bulletproof. So, and everywhere in between.
Amen to that. He will. We've seen it done with our students who've had great credit scores but weren't fundable because they do the right things, and those that had bad credit scores that got that stuff up, got fundable, and we're just blown away at the results. So Merrill, thank you so much for coming on the Virtual Not Buying Workshop here and sharing your Morpheus, your not credit karma, your credit genius for helping folks out there, man.
Right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, bud. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye now.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for day one here of the Virtual Note Buying Workshop. Great stuff there for you. Guys, make sure you take some time to relax tonight. We've got 2 full days of content left ahead of us and a lot of great stuff to go through. So today's all been about the finding. Tomorrow's all about the funding. We kind of kicked it off a little bit early. That's why I wanted to have Merrill on today. Give you something to look at. Get signed to that. Get fundable. WCN.com. Get signed up when the day. Use that link. Definitely take advantage of that offer. You will not be disappointed, and that'll help you on the right path. Because look, investing, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and you might as well get started today, taking those right paths, learning the right practices, the right tactics, the right tools. We've all been lied to. We've all been lied to in the past of what we need to do to be fundable, be creditworthy of this. I see it happen all the time. And when I started listening to Merrill, I started learning, seeing behind that green, don't pay attention to the man behind the green curtain. Well, I pay attention to the Merrill behind the green curtain, and he's helped me out tremendously. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. Trust me, it is well worth it to do it. If you've got bad issues, don't worry about it. We can get through those. That's one of the great things that he teaches and shows you and holds your hand walking through it. So take advantage of it. You will not be disappointed. It's the best bang for the buck out there, and be smart. And that's the big thing. So go out, take some action, buddy, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. Bye, everybody.